we only rehearsed about 4 days. From the time we heard, Lars had never heard this Nick Cave song before. I hand him the CD, he puts it in his head, and he's playing the song. All of a sudden, we're recording it, less than a week later. Wow. So there was a lot more kind of spur of the moment stuff, a lot more vibe. It was definitely a lot more fun. We put all these songs on the table and we just digested them and, spit them out Metallica style. There's only so much you can kind of mess with the sounds, when you go in to hear back a song or to listen to a mix. Your ear goes right to, I dial in that guitar sound that I love, and that will it's not going to change that drastically. And Lars, his drum sound and things, so it ends up sounding like Metallica. Well, that's kind of the beauty of doing covers. You can do whatever you want with them. They're already kind of there for you. Everything's written, and if you chop it up and move it around, you can always blame it on, well, it's just a cover, Doing these covers, it kind of tests your musicianship, and you'll go and play things that you wouldn't have written on your own, and it might make your fingers move a different way, and spur you on to try something new. Things are damn good, man. Things are all right, and like I said about kind of paying these bands back for helping you out in the early days, we took their songs and called them ours, Metallica Live Tonight at the Troubadour, half the set is Diamond Head, but no one knew, and they didn't care, and we didn't tell them, so we do owe them something.
We went into Kirk's basement about 30 hours after the last show from the summer tour, and started knocking these songs around. We talked about what songs we were going to come in with the next day, and so and so and so, and do 3 or 4 songs each day and try to just figure out some kind of handle, where's it going to go. For a long time we've been talking about, doing another Garage Days type of vibe. Set yourself with a deadline so that you can't get it too perfect, keep it all raw and real nice and like that. Not rehearse it too much, not know the songs too much. Go in and really be able to put our own spin on them. That's been talked about for quite a while. A couple of the choices were already made quite some time ago, and then a lot of them have just come about in the last couple of months here, trying to figure out exactly which heroes that we wanted to give the shout out to. That we hadn't already covered that. Some people were redoing again Misfits things, and Diamond Head and that are very, very obvious inspirations from Metallica, right? Sure. And so we always want to give them a little bit, but the other more obscure things, Nick Cave and Bob Seger and those kind of things, are reaching out a bit as we can, like we have been doing a lot the last few years. First we try on acoustic instruments, then James would try to sing it this way, and then we do just, Lars with the tambourine hits and the, side stick or something like that, trying to feel through it, what moods we were going to create. Then we decided, okay, this has got to be Metallica, man. We're Metallica, right? So let's kick it up a little bit, give it some volume, and play the way we play. Go for what you know, type of thing. And so that's how most of them came about, is that you find a tone that you're comfortable within as a Metallica player, and then put it on there. So we decide together what the tempo is going to be, what the feel is going to be, and then put our own, it has to be our sound still. The most important thing about this really is the fun factor, not having to get like in the Metallica recording mode of everything has to be under such a huge microscope and everything has to be so perfect. This thing gets to be raw and rough and fun and, sloppy and like it should be, like rock and roll should be. It's very much rock and roll, that's the cool thing. The intention of this is to give credit where credit's due, to give the shout out to our heroes, man. That is the thing, that's why we do it. We're exactly the opposite of what everybody would think. We want to do it because we're saying, yes, you did something for us. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be playing like we do. Here you go, man.
We were on tour. The tour ended on September 14th, and we went straight into my basement September 15th. And we played until, I think, the 18th, and then we went into the studio on the 19th, and we've been working every single day. And it's been a little grueling, but you know, it's been good. It's been fun, and it looks like we're going to make our schedule. And we're going to meet our deadline, which is always good. It was more like seeing what we could do, you know, rather than seeing what we would have to get done. I mean, we looked at it more as, you know, the potential for these songs and what we could do with it creatively, rather than, you know, can we do this? You know, are we physically able to do this? I mean, it was more a point of just seeing the potential and seeing what we could do, and, you know, realizing the possibilities rather than you know, realizing the limitations. I'll tell you how it's been difficult. When I leave the studio, all I hear in my head is Merciful Fate, you know, Diamond Head. I can't get it out of my head. Now I'll sit there and just roll over in my sleep and hear these songs in my head. The guitar playing, the actual physical aspect of the guitar playing is no problem, you know. I didn't really have a problem with that. It's just getting the songs out of my head once I've left the studio. That was the difficult thing. We're definitely wearing our influences on our sleeves with this one again. Yeah, you know, this album is a bit biographical, autobiographical, in a musical sense, because these are all bands that have been such a huge inspiration to us, you know, and a huge influence on us. And by listening to this album, you can tell where we got a lot of our ideas, really. I mean, it's just plain and simple. These are some of the most influential bands in Metallica's career.
The whole idea about the project, if you generalize, is that because of the nature of our own records, the sort of how we write these songs and then spend sort of like a year recording them and going over every single detail with a, you know, just a fine comb and sitting there and analyzing everything. What we need all the time and have throughout a career is a project like this to balance the sort of silly ways that we record our own material. We could never be this, I don't think we could ever be this instinctive and this spontaneous. I think that's what's so cool about Metallica doing cover songs, that is, it gives us a chance to go in the studio and have a different kind of fun than the sort of process of making our own records. And at the same time, I think now we're at the point in our career where when we used to pick cover songs and record cover songs in the early days, we would sort of stay more within our own territory, our own parameters, and sort of pick all these sort of obscure British metal songs and so on. But now we realize with this project that we could be, and want it to be, a lot more adventurous in the selection, and for the first time also picking songs by artists that we tremendously respect, but that we could also take these songs and kind of alter them enough and make them our own. met over in Kirk's basement, and we sort of sat there with our instruments and went, okay, now what? And we started basically going through potential songs that we had thrown at each other during sort of, late night drinking binges in hotel rooms and whatever, and sitting on the plane and blah, blah, blah. And we had a sort of a rough outline of some songs that we thought could work for this project. And that was just about 4 weeks ago. We spent almost a week over at Kirk's house, sort of getting it together, figuring out what we're doing. And then we came here, and having recorded and mixed 11 songs in that period, for us, is just sort of unimaginable. When we're making our own Metallica records, I'm the one that's probably the most anal and sit there and really go through everything in detail. What I was keen on with this project was trying to go as far in the opposite direction as possible, and there were some things when we were recording stuff off the floor in this very room about 2-3 weeks ago, where it was like, hey, wait a minute, that sounds great as is, just the four of us off the floor or whatever, let's just leave it. I was quite keen on trying to preserve the moments that were created in this room instead of then sitting and sort of doctoring them up afterwards. But at the same time, I mean, making records and being in a band and choosing songs and recording songs and all that, it's really, I mean, the key thing is balance, and you have to find the balance that works within the unit. And I think we found that. The fact that you said that we could sit here 3 weeks later and actually have a finished record is an amazing feat in itself. And when you listen to these songs as a bunch, that they all work in their own ways because we're comfortable playing them. We admire and respect the songs, we admire and respect the artists, and it's the key thing for us is that we have to be comfortable playing these songs, and when we're comfortable with something, we can make almost anything, no matter how foreign it is, at least on paper, sound like Metallica. It's been a very brief, spontaneous, crazy adventure. I can't remember the last time we made a record like this. You know, every time we go into the studio, we sort of prepare ourselves for these elongated stretches, and you know, 4 weeks ago, none of this existed.
More on the second?
Yeah.
Thin Lizzy's most part done. Overman's for the most part done.
But the heavy stuff is we kind of want to get the heavier stuff done before this turns to mix, right?
Well, it'd be great because of the guitar sounds. If not, we're going to have to get the guitar sounds over there. Well,
That'd be cool as an uncredited, what do you call it?
Segue.
Yeah. Huh?
It's called a segue.
Yeah. Thank you.
Segue into the Tomorrow Show.
The band comes in, let's have the band come in, but let's not come in like at the level we came in at the chorus. Let's come in like full band, but let's.
It's not there.
Oh!
There.
Out the headphone. Seven.
It's your birthday today, not yesterday. The evening would be nice. We should all go for dinner. That's what we should do. That would be nice. I'll go for dinner. Of course, that's awfully social.
Spend time with your wife. Spend time with your wife.
I'm going to do the vocal this off. I didn't get it. I'm just keeping the very intro.
But your thoughts will soon be wandering the way they always do when you're riding 16 hours and there's nothing much to do, and you don't feel much like riding and you wish the trip was through. The trip was through, and here I am on the road again. Here I am up on the stage, and there I go playing star again. There I go, turn the page. Yeah, here I am on the road again. Yeah, there I am up on the stage, and here I go playing star again.
from the road, and you feel the eyes upon you as you're shaking out the cold. Yeah, you pretend it doesn't bother you, but you just want to explode. And here I am on the road again, and there I am upon this stage. And here I go, praise God again. In the evening, as you lie awake in bed, with the echoes of the amplifiers ringing in your head, you smoke the day's last cigarette, remembering what she said. What she said.
Hanging over. Well, which...
East of Omaha, place that's real free. Here I am on the road. Here I am.
Turn the Page was just some song that Lars heard on the radio and loved it. Hey, have you ever heard this, Turn the Page, Bob Seger's? Like, yeah, I really actually like that song. The lyrics are us. So that was an easy choice. Actually, I can't stand Bob Seger, and I've never met him, so nothing really against him, but every time, growing up, the radio, just take them old records off the shelf. That's all I ever heard on the radio. It was like, play some, Aerosmith or something, I would just turn the radio off. It would just drive me up the wall. But it was more the song. This song, and lyrically especially, it belonged to Metallica, just, on the road again. It's just, we're the road dogs, and that's one song that we can really relate to. And it came out really well.
This song, to my knowledge, is the only one that we knew we were going to do years ago because of the lyrical content, and that it was so much Metallica. I mean, just the words that it says, that's Metallica.
Yeah.
We take our music to the people more than anybody in our genre of music, more, for over the years and years and years. We've been the ones that went on the road and did it. And so that could not be more true for any other band. And so we knew that way back when, I'd say 5 years, 7 years ago maybe even, we knew we were going to do this song. How we were going to spin it, we didn't know. We didn't know if we were going to try to keep the folksy vibe of it, electric piano, what the heck was going to happen until we actually put our hands on the instruments. For me, in 1973, this record came out. I was 10 years old. My brother, Greg, had it in the first week it was out, So I've known that song for 25 years.
Wow.
And when I first heard it back again 4 weeks ago, after not hearing it for years and years, or just it blowing by on the radio or whatever, and actually listening to the song and singing along and not forgetting one word, and knowing all the nuances and all that kind of thing, and, this kind of vibe, when you get just moved by a song, And that is one of those songs that always did it for me. For some reason, I never knew that this would come to this, and in my career or whatever, that we would actually put our stamp on it. But for that reason, it's close to here for me. I was born and raised in Michigan, and so was he.
Yeah.
And so that tie always, just like if somebody's from where you get that kind of thing, you're kind of proud of it or whatever.
I have to admit, that out of all these bands, I wasn't a big Bob Seger fan at all. But, when someone suggested Turn the Page, and I thought about it, and I thought, wow, Turn the Page, Bob Seger. And, I don't know. I don't know if I can relate to that one. But once I heard it and I listened to the lyrics, I thought, wow, this is just a perfect song for James to sing. I mean, this song says James Hetfield all over it. This is a Metallica song, just waiting to be happen, or a Metallica cover song just waiting to be realized.
Bob Seger as an artist is not somebody who has sort of done a tremendous amount for me in terms of just the music that inspires me. But that song, so there you talk about a song more so than a catalog or an artist or a history. I was driving across the Golden Gate Bridge right up here, and it was on the radio, and I heard the song 1,000 times before, and for some reason I turned it up, and I listened to it from a different point of view. And when I heard it from a different point of view, it was just like, wait a minute, that song has Hetfield written all over it, in the lyrics and the phrasing and the melody, and I think that one day down the line we could do that song some serious justice. Wow. And more so than sitting down and going sort of like, I want to record a Bob Seger song, but just that song itself is such a moment, and it just has like such a vibe to it that you can identify with just the whole road thing and the kind of sadness and the bleakness of it all.
Thanks, Jer.
Right on.
Thanks, Pop.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pep. Thanks, Jer.
Thank you, Het.
Thanks, Les.
The end of time. Yeah, take off your dress. There's a devil waiting outside your door. There's a devil waiting outside your door. And he's bucking and braying and pawing at the floor. And he's howling with pain and asking for more. There's a devil waiting outside your door.
While the empire's burned down, forever and ever and ever, ever, I'm gonna man. So help me, baby. So help me, baby. 'Cause I am what I am, what I am, what I am, what I am.
I'm your lover, man.
that one. Come on, Mars. First one.
Feels so good, I feel so fine. Love the little lady, I was on my mind. Been blowing every night and day. Never gonna leave her, never going away. Oh, lovely. No, she made me feel alright.
Can you just sustain that so it doesn't sound so stiff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the mummified pharaohs pretend dead in their sleep, yeah. Don't touch, never ever steal, unless you're in for the kill.
The second line.
They're good songs.
Yeah, you gotta say goodbye. Yeah, yeah, 'cause I will lead your mind. My only pleasure to hear you crying. I love to hear you crying. I love to see you dying. Listen, yeah.
Oh, you let.
It's full, buddy.
Bye.
Yeah, no, it was trying to figure out some ice cream. Let's keep staring at the camera.
What's that from? Yo. From Holland? Like nonchalant.
Hello, did you go good morning? Good morning? If you come this forward, that's nice.
All right.
I told you, you're looking at me? You're looking at me?
I know it's halfway.
Look at me. In the city.
So this is a very interesting idea. It's a first.
Oh, personality.
Get down, little man.
Cause I'm your love man, yeah. Love, love, yeah.
And arm at the car and more towards the camera. Okay, very nice. 1, 2, 3. And if you look at each
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Good.
A strong
1, 2, 3. Yeah. Right is right. Come on now.
Come on! Our next contestant.
What year is that from?
This is the other day.
This is like classic. Oh, I see. I thought this is classic stuff.
Brushes there. This is the best one.
With the little.
The one with James. That's great. God, he nails that, doesn't he?
Boy, he just totally nailed it.
Everybody looking all
What are
cheesy.
these for?
They're probably going to be the back cover of the booklet.
Oh my God, is that great?
Is it a black and white thing, or are you going to do?
Yeah, well, what he does, these are just the negatives. He burns them. You know, he's a guy that did the picture of John there. So this is just the rough end. He burns them in a printing process, and they come out looking like really cool. That's pretty cool shit.
Definitely.
Huh?
He's good, man. He's really good.
Why not? What's going on is Bob is sleeping his hangover off. That's what's going on. While George Marino is, as always, working hard, and I'm just sort of floating around looking at CDs.
What's George Marino do here?
George Marino takes our master mixes, which would be these, and he tweaks them so they all, when you put them next to each other on a record, that they all have somewhat the same levels, they all have somewhat the same frequencies, they all kind of work together as a unit, wouldn't you say? Isn't that sort of mastering in its like most layman terms?
Yeah, we try to max everything out and get everything balanced properly so it's one
Right.
continuous listening record.
And it's loud.
And
It's loud.
And find all the sweet spots and
Yeah.
and then we play up on that a little bit.
She made me feel happy. It's good to know that she's on my own and even never going away. Someone to love me. You know she made me feel alright.
Leave Mike Fraser's voice in there? Okay. Good.
Okay, so we got to backtrack to the end of Electric and see. Let's see what I have here.